shouting voice in the background. Does God exist? Does God exist? Every night, Adam jolts awake to the same haunting question echoing through his mind. Does God exist? The voice is so insistent it feels like a nightmare that won't end. Have you ever asked yourself that question? Don't panic. I'm Mr. Zhao, and I'm here to tell you what happened to Adam. Adam, a 32-year-old graphic designer with light brown hair and a relaxed jeans and hoodie style, lives in a loft apartment in Toronto's historic distillery district. Despite his successful career and comfortable lifestyle, he often catches himself asking the age-old question, does God exist? One snowy evening, as he sipped coffee on his balcony watching the CN Tower glow against the night sky, the question resonated louder than ever. He wondered whether his belief in a creator was just inherited culture or something deeper. Adam had been reading materialist explanations of life that reduce humans to biochemical processes. These theories argue that random mutations and natural selection could explain everything about humanity, yet they seemed unable to account for consciousness, moral values, and the drive toward meaning problems that even atheist philosopher Thomas Nagel acknowledged when he criticized the materialist neo-Darwinian conception for failing to explain mind and value. If humans are nothing but hardware, where does our sense of right and wrong come from? Are our feelings of gratitude, justice, and love mere accidents of chemistry? Adam discovered that in Islamic theology, the Quran teaches that humans were created in the most perfect form. This best composition, Asan Takum, includes an innate nature called fitra, which refers to the natural disposition God instills in all humans, a pure, instinctive inclination toward faith, goodness, and recognition of a creator. The Quran states that God endowed every soul with this primordial nature and took a covenant from all humans before birth. Quran 7, banding 172, recognizing that the question about God isn't just intellectual but rooted in his very being, gave Adam a new sense of urgency. Adam's research led him to understand fitra as a kind of pre-installed software within the human soul. One scholar likens fitra to an operating system. When you are born, you come in with pre-installed software that carries the basics of your operating system. This innate program ensures that the rites of worship are directed to the one creator. The article explained that fitra is like an automated demo running in the heart's like cache memory, ensuring the device follows the maker's protocol and helping with repairs when things go wrong. From this analogy, Adam learned that the hardware, our physical body, can't function properly without the software fit. He saw a massive dilemma from materialist explanations. Even if random mutations could create the body, they don't explain the coordinated package of meaning, values, and consciousness that every new soul possesses. How do blind, unconscious forces install the same software in every person? This problem, often called the software problem, was exactly what Nagel found missing in materialist accounts. Adam studied the components of fitra, innate recognition of a creator. Fitra naturally inclines humans toward belief in one God. This recognition traces back to the Quranic covenant where God asks souls, "Am I not your Lord?" And they respond, "Yes." Intrinsic moral compass. Humans are born with an inherent sense of right and wrong. Scholars describe fitra as a built-in moral compass guiding individuals toward justice and kindness, drive for truth, and existential inquiry. Fitra includes a natural love for truth and a desire to seek purpose. This innate quest pushes humans to ask about their origin, destiny, and moral responsibility, free will and accountability. While fitra inclines us toward good, it doesn't force us. Islam teaches that each person is ultimately responsible for their choices, and external influences can either nurture or corrupt fitra. The Quran says God has guided humans to the two paths, implying that we are free to choose obedience or disobedience, instincts and necessary inclinations. Essential instincts like motherly love or the urge to care for infants help humans survive and fulfill their purpose. Adam also learned that fitra can be obscured or buried. The Quran warns that people's innate nature can become veiled due to external influences. Some atheists deny that these components are innate, attributing them to society or evolution. Others admit they exist, but struggle to explain them through purely material process and approach satisfies the deep questions raised by the fitra. One evening, Adam sat at his grandmother's kitchen table. She asked him why he was so restless. He told her about the fitra, the computer analogy, and the software problem. "It makes sense," she replied. "We are more than flesh and bones. When I held you as a baby, I didn't need a philosopher to tell me there's a creator." She then recited a verse. "Our Lord is He who gave each thing its creation. 10 guided it." Adam realized that the verse reflects the very idea that God not only creates the hardware but also installs guidance fit with it. She also reminded him of another verse. "We have certainly created man in the best of composition." The words resonated deeply. In that moment, the arguments converged. Adam saw that his longing for justice, his search for meaning, and his love for truth were not random. They were echoes of his fitra, calling him home. The materialist worldview couldn't explain this inner software, but the Quran's description of fitra made sense of his deepest experiences. Adam's doubts didn't vanish overnight, but they transformed. Understanding fitra gave him a framework to see his conscience, reason, and instincts as gifts from a creator. The innate recognition of God, the moral compass, the quest for truth, and the freedom to choose were no longer random. They were part of the best of composition God created. He realized that resisting this guidance covering up the fitra takes deliberate effort, as the Quran hints when it talks about people ignoring their primordial nature. With this understanding, Adam's faith became more rational and heartfelt. He began to treat his conscience as a compass pointing back to God. He also understood that preserving fitra involves making moral choices, seeking knowledge, and aligning with divine guidance. The verses he'd read became more than texts. They were reflections of his own inner voice. Fitra suggests that faith isn't a leap against reason. It's a return to our natural state. If you've ever felt a pull toward goodness, a hunger for truth, or a spark of wonder at the universe, consider that this might be your fitra speaking. Explore it, nurture it, and let it guide you toward the one who created man in the best of composition and gave each thing its creation, then guided it. The search is not a threat to belief, it is the very path by which belief becomes genuine.